This is The Blockchain Show. The Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies and promotes widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology.
Hello, crypto world. You're listening to episode number 55. Today on the show, we have Carlo Maragliano of Solar Bankers, an innovative way to use solar renewable energy and the blockchain. But first, here's some news from Mark and Ian.
It's very sunny here in Orlando, even though the nights are drawing in and it's getting darker at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Terrible, yeah. I think it was about 4:15 when it got pretty dark for us today, but it was, it's pretty grey and cloudy and Londonish.
I can imagine. Anyway, speaking of cloudy and grey, what's happening in blockchain world?
Well, there's quite a lot going on. I think when we last did a news update, we were in blissful ignorance of all of this turmoil just about to come and hit us. We were looking forward to the SegWit 2X fork in Bitcoin and seeing what happened there, and that failed. We were safely confident that Bitcoin Cash was a non-entity and it was middling around in the low hundreds of dollars, and that changed. And we were comfortable that Ethereum was a reasonable second place to Bitcoin, and then hundreds of millions of dollars got locked in wallets, so that changed. So yeah, it's been a fairly active couple of weeks since we did a proper news update.
Absolutely. And our good friend Bitcoin is back up to 7,000. Ethereum and Litecoin are following suit. It's quite promising in that world. But I was reading the other day, well, actually this morning, about the coup in Zimbabwe. Actually, people are saying that is pushing up the price of Bitcoin. Where people normally, during a coup, would be investing in gold, classic cars or other solid investments, it seems to be that cryptocurrency is the place of choice for anybody in Zimbabwe with money.
So Robert Mugabe is locked in his house, frantically tapping away at his smartphone, plugging in his Ledger wallet, trying to transfer his funds to somewhere safe, yeah?
And I think he's probably trying to do that, and that would be a good place to do it. And as long as that's helping our investments go up, then that's a good thing. But imagine if we'd been talking about this a year ago, we would have thought that was absolutely crazy.
Absolutely.
But in this very fast-changing world of cryptocurrency, who knows what's going to happen?
So a few weeks ago, I was at an event and I talked a little bit about my first foray into an ICO investment, an initial coin offering. I'd stayed clear for a while, and there were a few coming up that I thought, well, I may as well have a dabble, have a play, have some fun, see what happens. So I've made two purchases of coins in the past month. One of them was for the Ties network that we talked about. Another one was the ex-Disney incubator startup called Dragon Chain. And I made some purchases on both of those, about the same amount. A couple of Ether I had knocking around. I threw it at those. Now, I would say that my experience so far, and it may be too early to tell, is mixed to concerning. I think that the Dragon Chain ICO finished a couple of weeks ago, and there's not really been any news yet about when they're going to issue any of the coins. They're apparently undergoing an internal and external audit before they do any communication and issuing of coins. So that's concerning. There's a bit of, just feels you kind of leaves you feeling
disappointing.
Well, just leaves you feeling like, okay, well, where am I? What's happening? It will probably have gone down or may have gone up, but I'd rather know what's going on rather than being left in the dark. And so the other ICO that I partook of was the Ties network. It was the first ICO that I bought into, and again, I gave a couple of Ether to join that one. That one was much more visible experience, I guess, much more open experience. I at least knew how many tokens I was buying. There was reasonably good communication coming out of when the tokens would be on exchanges and therefore start to see some value. since they have joined the exchanges, the value has generally gone down. It has peaked a little bit, back at sort of the same value as when I bought them, but then gone down again. So I've not lost all of my money, but it is a gamble, and I think it's a long-term gamble. And I don't think you're ever going to get immediate returns on some of these ICOs. But yeah, you need to go in with your eyes open. And I think
as with most cryptocurrency, I think that hindsight is a very valuable thing.
Yeah, I think you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to lose your stake. I think you need to gain a bit of experience before you go betting big on it, and you need to be pretty confident in the quality of the investment of the solution that you're buying into.
Absolutely, as with anything, and as you say, that's really good advice. Don't invest any money which you aren't prepared to lose, and anything else is a bonus. It's the same as gambling, I'd say, but this is slightly more less risk involved. Speaking about less risk, I was also reading about Square Cash, which is an application you can use for payment amongst friends, buying, selling Bitcoin, and it being used especially by the younger consumers because it's very easy to get into. And their shares actually jumped more than 4% on Wednesday after they were put down as a recommended buy by a leading Wall Street firm. So more ways to get the actual Bitcoins to the end user is proving to be a good solution.
So I talked earlier about the freezing of the parity-backed wallets on Ethereum earlier this week. Obviously, the news of that is still kind of emerging and emerging about who's exactly been affected by it. But that's quite a lot of funds. It's 152 million plus worth of Ether currently locked, and with some big names like Polkadot being affected by that. They recently had an ICO. They've had funds raised on it, and they're currently lost access, I think, to $98 million worth of Ether. That's a big chunk of that 150. So that's
lost access. Lost access. So that's a bit like a bank saying, "Oh, we can't quite find your 98 million. Don't worry about it. You can sleep at night. We're going to find it eventually."
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's not a bank. It's somewhere in the ether.
Yeah, and literally and figuratively. And I think there's some fears that there may be some sort of Ethereum Foundation based back out or forking or that might help parity out this particular hole and help those funds be unlocked for the consumers. But maybe that would be seen as much of a backing down or a backing out as the DAO or the DAO back out was last summer.
Wow, that is quite a major thing. But again, it's an emerging technology, and we don't know everything about it. And a bit like the interview you've just heard, there is risk around some of these emerging technologies, and that's why you've got to choose the correct technology for your business application. And in other news, the Big Bang Theory, that famous TV show, is actually going to dedicate a whole episode to Bitcoin.
That's a great show. And yes, it's normal people watching a show about nerds mocking normal people.
Excellent. I'm going to look forward to that one and see what they do with it. And I think that wraps up the news for this week.
Yeah, next week we'll be back with news and event schedule again.
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody, for sending in your feedback. It is much appreciated, and we do take it on board. So please keep on doing that.
Yeah, tweet us. You can tweet us. You can connect to us on Facebook. You can send us emails to info@theblockchainshow.com. There are a number of ways of getting hold of us and letting us know what we do well and what we don't do so well.
To meet you.
Good to meet you too. So my name is Carlo, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Solar Bankers. We are launching an ICO next week, the 22nd of November. Our project is about solar. We basically are developing the first decentralized energy trading platform based on solar energy and blockchain. It is, in few words, is a platform where people can trade and exchange electricity, like it is like it was a digital commodity. People can basically install our solar devices on their roofs, on their buildings, or whatever, and the electricity that they produce they can either use it for their purposes, or they can trade it and sell it to their neighbors using our mobile app. So this is, in few words, what we do.
Hi, Carlo. It's Mark here. Hi. I'm based in London, in the UK, as you can probably guess from my accent. How did this come about that you are working with solar bankers in blockchain technology? I think yourself, you've got a background in solar engineering and technology, and not necessarily blockchain and crypto. How did you stumble across blockchain as a solution to your problem?
Basically, I started working for solar bankers almost like 3 years ago. And at that time, we were mostly focused on developing our solar technology, which is something that we can discuss later. And last year, we participated, and we were selected to participate in Dubai Future Accelerator, which is an accelerator program that is run by the government of Dubai, that brings the most interesting companies from all over the world to Dubai to solve the major problems and issues that they face in the Emirates, from transportation to communication and energy and any other field. So we were selected because of our solar devices. And there we met a couple of companies that were working in the blockchain area and field. So that's where basically we had the first exposure in blockchain, and we saw the huge potential of basically combining our business with blockchain. Because in the past we realized that what is preventing solar and solar energy to further develop and to be implemented also at small scale is the fact that there's not really a framework for small investors or consumers to go into solar. And when I say framework, I mean that the small investors do not have the returns of the profit that a much bigger company will get. So right now, the way it works in many countries is that if you have a solar installation in on your roof or your building, you are selling this electricity to the grid, or in other words, to the energy company, to the utility company. Now, this utility company decides the price, and of course, they will be willing to buy at a low price, because then they want to make profit and money by reselling to the end consumer. So, and this is your only option. So either you use your electricity that you produce at home, or you sell at the price that the utility company decides. And but at the end of the day, that electricity will be used by someone else, maybe your neighbor. The problem that we see here is that the utility company is taking part of your profit. You're producing something that could be utilized by your neighbor, but still there is the utility company as a middleman in between that is taking part of your profit. So why not connecting the end consumers directly? And in this, the blockchain works very well because it's a trustworthy system that allows two peers to be connected in a very solid and trustworthy manner. So that's the whole idea behind our project.
Okay, cool. I understand you're working with the SkyLedger blockchain platform, the blockchain 3.0 as it's pitched. What makes SkyLedger stand out for you compared to, as I understand, SkyLedger is a private blockchain solution? Why go for a private solution over say a public one, or one of the more well-known, well-established blockchain solutions out there?
Well, the SkyLedger it's open source, so everybody can use it. So it is not really private. It was developed by the early developers and coders of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So every company, everyone can use SkyLedger. That said, we went for SkyLedger instead of Ethereum because we think that there are major flows connected with Ethereum as well as Bitcoin. We believe that both Ethereum and Bitcoin are not fully decentralized. We believe that they're not completely secure. And in addition, they are not energy efficient. So as you might know, I mean, both Bitcoin and Ethereum requires miners. They require miners to confirm the transactions, and there is a lot of energy that is used and mostly wasted for this process.
I guess energy efficiency and energy sustainability is pretty high up your personal agenda.
Yeah, I was reading an article the other day that said that basically each transaction today in the Bitcoin blockchain requires more energy than what you will need to heat up your apartment for one day. So this is where we are heading, and it will only get worse. So this is from an energy standpoint, and also we believe that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not fully decentralized because both proof of work and proof of stake are not, in our vision, fully decentralized. I mean, we've seen what happened last week with Bitcoin, where a big pool of miners decided to move into Bitcoin Cash, and all of a sudden there were a lot of problems with Bitcoin transactions that got unconfirmed, and the fees delayed, that went up, delayed, and and this is only because a couple of pools decided to move from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash, and a system that is fully decentralized should not rely on a couple of entities that just move from one blockchain to the other. And this is the problem with both proof of work and proof of stake. And they're susceptible to 51% attack. So if 51% of the mining power decides to block and to somehow to control the system, the blockchain, they can do it.
Cool.
So sorry, go ahead. And the other problem that we see is with scalability of transactions. So now there's been a lot of discussion with the fork and in the Bitcoin community on whether to increase the block size, and the same is with Ethereum. Bitcoin can process only, if I'm not mistaken, like 7 to 10 transactions per minute, and per second, sorry, and there are more for Ethereum, but still we are very far from the numbers that you see for Visa transactions, for example. And it will take a lot of time to reach that stage for both Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Thanks.
So
that's really that's really solid answer. Yeah, thank you for that. I think that we are starting to see a lot more of that clearly as we enter the mainstream for a lot of the blockchain technology. People are trying to deal with the trustworthiness, the scalability, the security, and yeah, you looking at SkyLedger, it's got its a unique way of tackling some of those things.
Yep.
It's very interesting what you say about the more mainstream blockchains as well. That's quite an interesting viewpoint. And based on that, what have been the biggest challenges you've had to get to this point? Because I know that you need to get the market to understand what you're trying to do, as well as base this upon some of the latest technology as well.
Yeah, so at the beginning it was not easy because we were using a different technology, not only regarding our business and the solar business, but mostly because of the SkyLedger blockchain, and the SkyLedger blockchain being different from Ethereum. So everybody knows how to contribute into an Ethereum-based ICO. People just send Ethereum to a smart contract address, and they receive the token onto the same address. In our case, it was completely different because we're using a different blockchain. So we had to implement basically a token swap where you send Bitcoin or Ethereum, and we give the equivalent in some coins onto another blockchain with a dedicated wallet. So that was, it is not as straightforward as it is for Ethereum. So a lot of people at the beginning were not, fully confident about doing this. And but when we started listing the features and the characteristic of our blockchain, people saw the advantage and saw the great opportunity of getting into this venture from the very beginning. So we have investors that invest into our solar business. And we have investors that just like the blockchain technology, which is at the base of our project, and they decided to invest on that.
Okay, just on that then, Carlo, how much of the blockchain technology are you doing in-house, and how much are you relying on third-party providers to help you with?
The blockchain, as I said, was developed by some coders that are part of our team. So it's basically done completely 100% in-house.
Okay. Cool.
It is. We know that it's not something like mainstream as Ethereum, but there are so many advantages in these technologies that eventually we believe that it's going to become mainstream very soon.
I think that's very correct, and especially when their comedy programs are going to dedicate episodes to blockchain and other technologies around the cryptocurrency, I think that's when we've gone a bit mainstream. But to those ends, where do you predict this going over the next 3-5 years from your organization's point of view?
So when it comes to our business, we have already set in place a couple of pilot projects where we will start implementing our platform. One will be in China, where we have the support of the local government. And another one will be in Turkey, where as well we have the support of the governorship of Izmir in the west of the country. And in addition, as I mentioned before, we signed a contract with the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority back in April, and they decided to invest into our solar technology. So by January, we will have a first small-scale installation of our solar devices. So what is unique about our business, not only what I just mentioned about the blockchain technology, but also the fact that we have our own proprietary solar technology, which is something that we developed in the last 9 years, and we actually patented in more than 35 countries worldwide. It is basically like an holographic film that you can apply onto existing as well as new solar models, and basically allows you to increase and boost the performance of solar cells and solar devices.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating how you're blending advances in solar technology with blending with crypto technology. That these things are going hand in hand, and you're to deliver you a kind of end-to-end solution.
Yep, and we're just bringing our own experience in the solar business, and the fact that there are very few opportunities for the end consumer to get into this business. You hear every day that the solar industry is getting bigger and bigger with greater and greater investments, but at the end of the day, who's really profiting are only the big utility companies. And we want to change that, because at the end of the day, to get this technology, solar technology mainstream, you need to have the support of the end consumers.
And I was going to ask you that. I mean, it's difficult for me sitting in London at 5 p.m. in October to think about the sun. Looking out the window now, no, I can't see any. But obviously, my colleagues in California and Florida, I'm not jealous whatsoever. Obviously, see the sun a bit more regularly than I do. Who are your target customers, Carlo? What's your market? Clearly, London in October is not necessarily a strong one, but where are you pitching your product right now?
So we're pitching our product mostly in the GCC area and Middle East and North Africa. And the reason for that is because our technology is particularly suitable for a very hot environment. You might think that in this environment with a lot of sun, it is convenient actually to put solar installation, but very few people know that the hotter is the temperature, the lower is the efficiency of a solar module. So with our technology, we can get rid of part of the heat and keep the solar cells as cool as possible, so that they can perform well in field.
Just a quick story. There's a friend of the family that has a giant solar array, and they wanted to they wanted to just share their extra energy to the neighbors nearby, and a utility company caught wind of that and showed up in suits and shut that down pretty promptly. How do you deal with some of these utility companies that really want to keep the status quo going?
Of course, this is actually a very, very good question, very good point. And it really depends on what is the current legal framework in the specific country. In a country where you have a monopoly, of course, there's not really an opportunity. but in many countries, in European countries, now there's been a liberalization of the market, of the energy market. So that means that even like small producers can simply use the grid infrastructure to offer their services and to distribute electricity that they produce. So it is something that has to be discussed on a country-to-country basis.
Okay. And Ian did just have to dash off before he left. He wanted to point out that I said it was October, and it is actually November. It's been so long since I've seen the sun that I'm starting to skip months now. So tell us a little, Carlo, about your ICO event, your token event. When's it launching? How long is it running for? And how do we participate in that?
So the ICO will start next week on the 22nd of November, and will last until the end of the year, until the 31st of December. So it's 40 days overall, and we have different prices. We have four different prices actually, and we will increase the price every 10 days. So, of course, it is convenient to get into it from the very beginning, within the first 10 days. And to contribute, we accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dash. You can go to our website, solarbankers.com. And from there, you will be able to access our ICO page, where you basically have to first download our wallet, create your own wallet, and just fill out our form with all your information, as well as the Suncoin wallet address. Send a contribution, and you will receive automatically your equivalent in Suncoin in your wallet.
So say that I wanted to go solar and get it on my roof. I know that you're probably not in California yet, but when the time may be, what's the process of getting the solar on the roof and then getting this system in place with the trading of?
So the process will be straightforward. Basically, you will have first to purchase Suncoin. And with Suncoin, you will be able to basically exchange Suncoins for our solar devices, including also our smart meter. So through the smart meter, you will be able to monitor the amount of electricity that you're producing, and you will have access to our mobile app, where not only you will see the amount of electricity you're producing and consuming, but also you will have access to basically a free market of electricity, where you will be able to put your own offer if you are producing more electricity than what you're consuming. And the size of the market will depend on how many people there will be around you that are part of this community. So, of course, the more people you have in your community, in your local community that belong to the Solar Bankers business, the better it is, because you will have more convenient offers in terms of electricity.
Carlo, just whilst we just finished talking about the ICO, in the current climate, there's a lot of scrutiny, or increasing scrutiny, I think, from government, from Financial Conduct Authority or its equivalent around the world. Even Vitalik Buterin's kind of questioning some of the ICOs on Ethereum at the moment. How do you see the Suncoin ICO as producing something truly valuable? That will also contribute to your ongoing R&D and your development, because it raises some funds, but also is a useful asset in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we were extremely careful not to design and to design our token as a security. So we don't give to our investors any we don't share any profit of the company, but on the other hand, we provide our investors and our supporters with a set of opportunities to actually make profit from the sun. So with Suncoin, people will be able not only to buy and sell clean and cheap electricity in the community, but they will be also able to exchange their Suncoins for our solar devices. And in addition to that, they will be able also to exchange Suncoins for CO2 emission certificates. So in that sense, we sell a token that is backed not only by the project itself and the community, but also by solid assets like our international patent, as well as the different projects that we have going on in the Emirates, in Turkey, as well as in China.
Okay, excellent. That's really thought-provoking. Thank you for clarifying that one.
No problem.
So, Ethan, have you got anything else to quiz Carlo over?
I'm really curious how the energy flow works. I mean, you have to use the grid, I assume, and so the smart meters keep track of the excess energy, and then that goes down the line to the utility. But somehow you're able to measure. How do you trade electricity to your neighbors? I guess that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah. So basically, you can tag the electricity. In other words, you can basically sign somehow the electricity that you're producing, and you can send it to any other end user that is connected to the same grid. So this is one option and one business that we propose. But there will be also cases in which we will provide access to electricity to people that do not have access to the grid. So in that case, we have a different business model, in the sense that an entire community can contribute to financing a solar installation. And with that installation, then we will provide also the connection or the cables for these people to actually have the opportunity to get this electricity.
Just something that's made me think of. So people I know in my family have solar panels on their roofing. It's actually my mother and my brother-in-law, and what really engages them is that they have a slight competitive nature, I think. Now, obviously, their houses are in slightly different positions and slightly different rotations of the sun. But is there a way you can gamify your app so that you can actually compete with your neighbours or your friends as to how much you've generated and have some sort of leaderboard and some sort of rewards for that?
Well, it's actually not a bad idea. I never heard of someone, competing for how much electricity they're producing.
Highly competitive in my family.
But in that sense, with our technology, they will be able to, win for sure compared to the standard ones. So there would be some competition there, but of course, being able to monitor and basically live 24/7 the amount of electricity you produce, it also gives that possibility to compete with others. And of course, I think the idea of creating and also rewarding competition, it's something that it's worth considering.
Okay, I'll let them know.
Anything else you want to add, Carlo?
I just want to remember the 22nd of November, beginning of the ICO until the end of the year.
One final thing from me, you talked a little bit, Carlo, about the markets, the governments you've been talking to, and China and regional governments in Turkey. What's your kind of pitching towards maybe the more developing world? Is there anything that you can bring to those developing countries who maybe where electricity is not free flowing? Even places that may have been well developed, but due to recent hurricane damage, may need to start again. What can you guys do in that space?
So, I think we are bringing something new, not only when it comes to distributing electricity, but also for what regards the solar technology itself. It is a new technology. It is what we believe will be the next generation of solar energy, and we have numbers to prove that it is more efficient than what you get like in the standard market. This is the first unique point. The second unique point is, again, the opportunity to trade this electricity. I think not everybody is aware that there's not really a convenient framework for the end user to really make profit of this technology. And few people know that with solar today, you can produce electricity at a very low cost. And so why not giving the opportunity also to these end consumers to really profit from this source of energy? And that's what we want to bring. And independently on which country you live in and what are your conditions.
Brilliant. Thank you. Excellent. That's me all done. It's been really, really a great pleasure to talk to you, Carlo.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye now.
Excellent. Thank you. So that's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Are you looking for an easy way to buy Bitcoin or Ether on a safe, secure platform? Coinbase is the easiest place to buy and sell digital currencies. Sign up today as a friend of the Blockchain Show, and if you buy or sell $100 of Bitcoin or more, you'll earn $10 of free Bitcoin for yourself and $10 of Bitcoin to support this show. Join now using the link in this episode's show notes at theblockchainshow.com.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sarah, for doing the artwork, Mark and Ian for joining in on the conversation. Thank you to our guest, Carlo. Be sure to check out their ICO, everyone. Yeah, you can definitely go to our website and help us out if you'd like. Give us a rating on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, rather. Subscribe, tell your friends. Let's get this show out there. Thanks, everyone.
To learn more, visit theblockchainshow.com.